In this video, I want to break down question 2 on the Leaving Cert composition paper. Question 2 is still one of the melody questions, so as you know, questions 1, 2, and 3 are the melody questions. Questions 4, 5, and 6 are the harmony questions. And you have to do one melody and one harmony question. So you could do question 1. The vast majority of people, for the melody question, they choose to do question 1. But in this video, I still want to break down question 2 for anyone who would like to do it. So question 2, it's still a melody writing question. The difference to question 1 is that in question 2, you have to set the words of a poem to music. You have to write a melody for the words of a poem. So when you actually open your exam paper, you'll get something like this. You will have question 2, setting music to a given text. You will have the name of the poem and the poet that it's an extract from. You'll then be given your 4 lines that you have to set to music and your instructions. What you'll also be given is, you'll be given, just like in question 1, the first 4 bars. So, for example, in this particular question, which was 2015, you will be given these 4 bars here along with the words. The first 4 bars make up the first line of the poem. Then the next 4 bars, so that's bars 5 to 8 rather, to make up the second line. Bars 9 to 12 are the third line, and bars 13, 14, 15, and 16 make up the last line of the poem. Sorry about my handwriting there. Okay, so that's the general structure of your poem that you have to set to music. Bars 5 to 8 will be the second line, 9 to 12 will be the third, 13 to 16 will be the fourth. And you have to try and follow a certain set of rules and a certain set of conventions. A lot of what you do will be very similar to question 1, and if you've watched the question 1 videos, you will already know how to do quite a lot of this. I don't have to do anywhere near as many videos on the question 2, on the outline of question 2, because it's very, very similar to question 1. So just to go through the stuff that's the same as what's on question 1, you still have this on question 2. You still got T to Do at the end. So T going to Do. Has to end on Do. As you can see, we're in the key of A major, so it has to end on A, and it rises from T, from G sharp up to an A. That still has to be done. You still want to follow not the exact same structure as question 1, but you still want to use pretty much the same structure. If you look here, it says to include a modulation if you wish, so you don't have to include a modulation, but it's still good to do it just to show that you're able to, just to show the examiner that you know how to modulate, and you know how to modulate back to your original key then. So when it comes to the modulation, I've put it in pretty much the exact same place that you would in question 1. My modulation happens right around here at bars 7 and 8. And by the time we get to bar 9, we're back in our original key. So I modulate from A major to E major, which is the dominant key of A major. We outlined that in one of the earlier videos. And then it returns back to A major, to the original key. When we return back to the original key, just like in the question 1 examples, I've added a sequence here in bars 9 and 10. Again, you don't have to do a sequence in question 2, but it's still nice to do it. It's when you've just modulated here at bars 7 and 8, your sequence really helps to bring you back into the original key. It gives you a kind of a melodic staple to hold it together while you're changing back into the original key. So you still got your ending on T to Do, you still got your sequence, you still got your modulation in the same place. You're also still going to use quite a lot of repetition. So like where you repeat and alter or develop bars 1 and 2 in question 1, you still do pretty much the same thing in these bars here. You can see that I've kept very similar rhythm each time, where in bar 1 they have A, E, D. I've just got A, C sharp, D. In bar 2 they've got C sharp. I've got a long C sharp and a minim. Where they have got an A, I've put in just A, G sharp and quavers instead of a crotchet. So you can see I've still very much just developed bars 1 and 2 for bars 5 and 6, and again for bars 13 and 14. So a lot of question 2 is very similar to question 1. there are just a couple of things you're going to need to keep in mind that are different. Here are some of the things. First of all, you don't have to choose an instrument. So normally in question 1 you'll have a couple of instruments up here, you have to tick a box. You don't have to choose an instrument in this one for the obvious reason that it's being sung. So your instrument is going to be voice. So you don't have to choose an instrument. Also, you want to have a couple of things that are suitable specifically to writing for voice. One of the main ones is you want to match your music to your words syllabically. So if you look at when you get your four lines up here, you're going to want to look at the syllables of the different words. You're going to want to say those 4 lines out loud and really think about which syllables of the words need to be on which strong beats. So the fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. So in that second line, furrow followed free, those are all strong syllables. So you want them to be on strong beats of your music. So as you can see, furrow begins on beat 1 here, followed also begins on beat 1, and free also begins on beat 1. So you need to say those words, you need to say the words of the poem in your head at least, and really try to work out which are the strong syllables of those words, which syllables need to be accented when you write your music, and then you put them in an accented place in the music. So like on the first beat of the bar, or if you're in 4/4 time, your third beat will also be accented. If we were to go to the third line, we were the first that ever burst. So we is kind of like almost an upbeat there. So we were the first that ever burst. Those are kind of the really accented ones there. So as you can see down here, I've got were on a strong beat, first on a strong beat, ever on a strong beat, and burst on a strong beat. Again, you can see that strong syllables, we were the first that ever burst. I really tried to put those on the strong beats of the bar. In fact, all of them are actually on beat 1, the strongest beat of the bar. And again, I will have done similar in bar 4. So in 2, that's silent C. So in is kind of like an upbeat there, so it's in 2, 2 is on a strong beat. In 2, that's silent, the S is silent, C. So 2, silent, and C need to be on strong beats. And as you can see, when I scroll down, I've got in as my upbeat, just like I said. In 2, the silent C. Again, I've got them all on strong beats. That was quite a short line, so I actually extended the word 2 over almost 2 whole bars there. So that's one of the things you really want to look at. So I'm just going to write that down. I'm going to make a little list at the bottom so that you can see all the different things. Apart from the stuff that you should already kind of know from the videos on question 1. But the other things you really need to know. So strong syllables. Strong syllables on strong beats. Okay. So strong syllables on strong beats. That's one of the things you really need to look at. You need to say the words of your poem in your head, and then make sure they fall on strong beats of the bar. The strong syllables fall on the strong beats. Okay, what else do you want to do here? That's going to be the big one. That's the thing they will really look for to show that you really know how to set a poem to music. But there are other things you can do that again will just impress the examiner a little bit. So there's one very important technique that you can use when you're writing, adding music for a poem, is a technique called word painting. This is when you take a particular word and you make the music at the time that that word is said really reflect that word, really bring out that word, and the music reflects the meaning of the word. So for example, I've done it twice here. I've done it on the word free, and I've done it on the word burst. Okay, so if you look down here, when it gets to the word free is just right here. All along we've had this quite bouncy rhythm. Everything's fairly laid back, following a fairly simple pattern. When it gets to the word free, I really wanted the music to reflect the word free. I wanted the music to sound free. So you can see I've got this very flowing, rising melody right up here. And it also changes key, which again brings out the word a lot more. So the fact that it's almost like it's breaking free, so it's really emphasizing the word free. You've got it rising, sailing up free, um, it's really flowing, it's faster and than any rhythm that's been there before, and it also changes key to really reflect that word. So that's something else you can do. I've done it again on the word burst here. It might not be too obvious, but you can see it really builds up to the word burst. I wanted burst to be a high point. I wanted it to really sing out like like the word is bursting out itself. So you can see it gradually builds up one crotchet at a time until it reaches that high note on the word burst. It reaches that E. So that again really brings out that word, and the music really reflects the meaning of the word. We've done it with both free and with burst there. So I'm just going to add that to our list. It's a technique called word painting, and it's something that can really show that you know how to set a poem to music. So word painting. Okay. And there's one more little technique that's used in when you're setting a poem to music. And it's a singing technique called Melisma, and it's something you can use. There are going to be times when you can't have a new note for every syllable; it just won't work. Melisma is when you have more than one note to a particular syllable. So when the same syllable of a word is held, but the note keeps changing, the note keeps moving up and down. You can see I've done it on the word to here. I've held the word to for quite long, while the melody continues to go up and down. So the singer will hold the syllable of the word to while singing those notes, while jumping up and down to those notes. I've done it a little bit again. I've done it on the word free again, you can see. So the same syllable from free is held while the notes change underneath. You don't want to overdo this because it will look like you just don't know how to set music to a changing set of syllables. You want your melisma to be used at appropriate times just once or twice over the course of your 16 bar melody. So generally speaking, you want to have one syllable to a note as much as possible, because that shows that you're able to set different syllables to different syllables one note at a time. But it's also good to include just a little bit of melisma, particularly on words like free, where you can where it's not just melisma, it's also word painting. It really works well there. So I'm just going to write that down as our third technique that we can use. So melisma. Okay, and those are the main things just to keep in mind when you're doing if you're setting a poem to music. If you're doing question 2 as your melody question, as always, read through the instructions. I mean, if you read through the instructions here, it shows that you don't actually have to modulate. You can actually exceed 16 bars if you wish. I haven't done that. I've kept the 16 bars because it's just something I'm a bit more comfortable doing. You can exceed 16 bars if you choose to. As always, just remember to add in your performing directions at the end. Your phrasing, so that would be your phrase marks at the end of each line. Oops, I didn't do those in the right place because we have an anacrusis. So I have to do them just here. So we have our phrase marks. We have to have our dynamics. So remember, if you watch a video on dynamics, the dynamics can rise a lot with the melody. So you might, if we were to say mezzo piano here, then when the melody is rising up to the word burst, we could have it rising up to forte here. So the dynamics often mirror the melody in that way. But we have a whole video on that if you want to check it out. Okay, I hope that's been helpful, and I'm just going to quickly play the melody for you so that you can hear it.